All right, welcome to this live class with myself and David. We're going to be diving into how David charges $2,100 for his online coaching and actually produces really great transformations with his clients online. So we're going to actually dive into David's program and how that looks. And really what we're going to cover is how you can sell online coaching and the different products and services available, first of all, just to give you a little bit of context as to the differences, because there's lots of different options you can choose from, okay? We're then going to dive into what David sells and how he actually delivers his coaching, how he's structured it, and how he really earns his money, because he's not offering a cheap, low price program. This is what we'd call a higher ticket program. So we're going to give you some context as to how he's able to demand that, but also how he's delivering those transformations, some of the tools, some of the philosophies that he's approaching in that process of delivering results. So let's kick things off. Let's give you some context, first of all, as to really these different types of products and services that you can offer online before we get into David's program. So David, do you want to kick us off and just give people a little bit of context as to the different options they can provide?
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into what I actually offer, just kind of want to go through the different types of programs and services that are out there for online. So number one, there's the Zoom workouts, and those are going to be like a virtual PT session. You're really in a position where you're just kind of doing the same thing that you're doing in a gym right now. Next, there's the PDF guides, or you can do it through like Google Sheets. They're not really given any support or accountability. It's really just like a one-off sheet that you can give people. And then there's the membership sites. It's a little bit more advanced than like a PDF sheet, but again, there's no personalization that's going to come with it. And then probably the next step up from that, which is a little bit better, is a group coaching service. Now, the group coaching services are okay, but again, there's not any personalization happening in there. And most people in there, if they're struggling, they're not going to have that support to actually get them the help that they actually need. And of course, there's the one-on-one coaching where it comes with highly personalized coaching experience. This is actually the one that I personally use, and my clients do very well in that particular setting.
There's one actually other element that people could add as well, just to throw it in there, is you can have kind of a group one-to-one hybrid where there's like one-to-one support, but also some group elements to it, which I think is actually a really good model as too. But let's just dive into some of these different ones that David mentioned, just to give you guys a little bit more context as to what we think about them, because the Zoom workouts, the virtual PT, in my opinion, it's just inferior to personal training, right? And it's a great alternative, and it was great during the pandemic when people had no other opportunity but to transition their clients onto Zoom. But in reality, if you're doing PT Zoom classes online, it might be convenient, but you're simply staring at a screen all day and doing the same things that is not going to be as effective or as enjoyable as training clients on the gym floor, and you'll probably get sick of it pretty quickly. The next thing is the PDF guides, the Google Sheets, the things that you can create on Canva, right, to give to clients, and you can sell them for a very low price point. They're good if you've got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers and you can make tons and tons of sales. But for the average trainer listening to this, you're probably not going to make any money or change any lives selling just a couple of PDFs to the small audience that you probably have. So it's probably not a very lucrative or effective model for most people unless you're an influencer. Then the membership sites. What we find is when you just give people information, they rarely ever just go ahead and follow it and implement it. And so the results you get off the back of a membership site probably not going to be that great. So yes, it's a good affordable option for people, but membership sites and information alone, in my opinion, is not going to get results. And then the group coaching programs, I think actually have merit. They're good, right? The group coaching programs are awesome, affordable options for people to be able to join a program with other people at a lower price point than, say, a premium one-to-one service where they can be in a community, engaging with others and going through it at the same time. The only downside to the group coaching model is there might not be the level of customization that the client actually wants or needs in order to get the results. And that's what leads us to the final bit, which is the one-to-one custom coaching program that David will actually offer his clients, and what a lot of our clients are offering their clients, right? And this is really where you're offering very specific advice, customizing the training plan, customizing the nutrition, doing one-to-one check-ins, and really delivering a top tier level of service and support to the client. And this is where you're going to be able to get the best results and charge the most for what you do, because price is predicated on how good you can deliver results. And so if you can deliver the best possible service, then you can obviously charge more for what you do. And then it's win-win. It's win for them because they get an amazing result, and it's win for you financially because you're being compensated fairly for the results that you're delivering. So why don't we just dive a little bit deeper then into the online coaching one-to-one model, which is what we're most familiar with and what David is doing, and what we think is probably the best option for everyone probably listening to this, bar a few, if you want to deliver the best results and financially make the most in your online business. So David, do you want to give us some context as to your program and really what you're doing and how you've structured things?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be clear, clients aren't paying me for a program. They're paying me for the results. When a client comes to me, it's likely the results they're looking for is worth $2,100 to them. It's then my job when they become a client to actually give them the appropriate guidance that they need so they can actually get to the results that they're looking for. For example, my client Joe, when he came to me, he was looking to get off a little over 80 pounds. In the first 12 weeks, I walked him through step by step in the correct order of what he needed to do. He was actually was able to get off 41 pounds. And actually last August was when he got all the weight off. Right? So he actually lost, I believe, 81.5 pounds on his time with me. 41 of that being that first 12 weeks in my coaching program. So what we did with Joe is first we went on an initial call, right? And that's what I call a discovery call. That's the first step that we needed to do. And on that call, I'm able to decide and determine if someone's actually a good fit for my coaching. I'm not going to just let anybody and everybody in. Space is limited for me. So I want to make sure that the people that get in there are actually going to get the results, and they need to be motivated to want to get those results. If we find it's a good fit, we're going to go on what's called an onboarding call. On that onboarding call, that's where I can deliver some resources, start picking apart, see what the next steps might be for them. And when I figure out those next steps, the third step is to give them those next steps, right? And start assigning them to them, right? And then after that, I just giving that ongoing adjustments based on any data that I get from them.
So a lot of you tell me you need help with building your business. And if that's the case, then click the link in the description, enter a few details. That'll put you in touch with me. And then we can explore if what we do can really help you with building your business. Yeah, and this is very simple in terms of how we've just explained it. And those results are insane, by the way. If you look at David's profile, you'll probably see him from time to time actually sharing these results because he's coaching people as we speak to get these transformations. Because we just gave people a little bit of a basic overview there, the discovery call, the onboarding call, the first steps, the ongoing adjustments. Let's give people a little bit more context because they may still be scratching their heads as to how you're charging $2,100 for online coaching. So I'll just give some people some context about the discovery call first of all. So the discovery call is essentially a call where David's going to jump on. He's going to ask a bunch of questions, identify really what the problems are and what they've struggled with, what they've tried in the past, and really map out the vision of where they want to be. This is before they become a client. Then David's job is to then present his online coaching program, if they're a good fit, as a solution to be able to solve that problem and really position the results and not just all the features of his program. He needs to be selling the benefits, the outcomes, the things that he's going to be able to help that client specifically achieve based on the vision that he wants. Then from there, if that person wants to move forwards, then he's going to take payment, he's going to sign them up, and then that onboarding process is officially going to start. And this is where David will typically send out an email and probably be collecting some initial data. So David, just tell us how your process looks right now, because you probably tweaked it a little bit, and I want to give everyone a little bit of context as to what that looks like. What do you send out? What are you collecting? What are you doing in that process? Because remember, guys, this is a high level service. Like, we're not just sending someone a random training plan straight away. We're actually having to do some due diligence to really understand the client. So what does that look like, David?
Yeah, so on that that onboarding call after they become a client, they've already filled out some forms for me, and not a ton of forms. I usually just give them one form with a lot of data that I need. And it really allows me to gauge just kind of where they're at right now, right? And that's really important, that we're gauging what their nutritional awareness is, their fitness awareness is, and see what we need to do to move forward, right, to actually get the results that they're looking for. I do give them a little bit of homework on that after that initial discovery call, and it's just something basic and simple to keep them moving and keep them thinking about the coaching and thinking about the fitness and thinking about their goals. Usually it's just, hey, take a picture of your food, send it to me so that we can go over on the call. But one of the first things I do like to do, just backing up a second on that onboarding call, is I want to make sure that they have access to any software that I have, right? And I want to make sure that they can sign into everything and that the adjustment period or the learning curve is really, really low, because I don't want them to get confused. It's all about keeping it simple for them. On that call, after having a conversation with them, I'm able to determine the very next steps that they need to be working on right now to actually make some results.
Yeah, I want to really emphasize to anyone listening that it's really high level of customer service, right? Listen to what David's saying about really understanding the client, what they're doing, what they have been doing, etc. But also like assisting them in the process of like moving on to getting the things set up that they need setting up, and getting some simple steps in place, which you typically wouldn't get with those other products and services that we mentioned, right? It's a very high level of service and support. And then once you've left that call, okay, so you've identified the things that you need to know, David, let's give people some context as to like maybe some of the steps that are happening in that first 1 to 2 weeks after the call. Like, someone's your client, what are they typically going to hear, be told, or given by you in those 1 to 2 weeks after that onboarding call?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody's different, and I respond to all my clients differently. It's really important that you're actually listening to them to see where they're at, instead of being like some sort of commander that tells you have to do every single thing just like every other client does. So usually I like to give something fitness and nutrition related on week 1 or as we go along for the first couple weeks. But if someone tells me on a call they have struggles with stress and sleep, we're going to work on that first. We're absolutely going to focus on where they're struggling with now so they can make the best results going through my coaching.
And you are obviously precision nutrition qualified, so obviously you're giving nutritional advice. What sort of like nutritional advice are you typically giving on an ongoing basis to your clients? Like, what sort of things are you doing right now with your clients?
Yeah, on a nutrition basis, we really just try to change the relationship with their food. I don't focus heavily on weighing out food and having them, tracking their macros every single day. I'd rather them change that relationship, because that's going to be more impactful for them to actually see that sustainability when they actually get the weight off.
Are you giving them any pointers these days on like types of foods to go for, healthier options? Like what sort of things are you pointing them towards? Or are you like super flexible, no advice whatsoever?
A little bit of both. There are some, particular items that we do that are like inflammation type fighters. So of course we're going to look at some turmeric, right, and different ingredients that we can actually plug in there. But the rest of it, again, it's going to be based on them. People have different palates. People have different, allergies, and we have to be able to respond to them. I do have general, type of meals that we can take a look at and manage. But typically on the calls, we talk about different ideas for meals they can put together on the call together. Like, I even have recipe cards that I give all my clients that they can look at, but we usually decide on the recipes on the actual call of what might be a best fit for them, on not just, what the ingredients are, but how quickly can they make this stuff, right? Some of these guys are really, really busy, and they don't have time to meal prep for hours on Sunday. They need to find something that takes them 5-10 minutes to make, maybe in the morning, and take it to work. So we got to look at that aspect as well, so we can really find out, hey, what's the best thing that they can have, like maybe at their lunchbox or towards the end of the day leaving work, but also what doesn't take all the time out of their day. And of course, most importantly, they got to be able to enjoy it, right? We're not going to give them a bunch of nasty food that they don't even want to have, because then they're not going to be able to sustain that.
And for everyone who's still with us and listening, right, listen to the level of customization and adaptation depending on where the client is at. David, you say it beautifully all the time, like meet the client where they're at, understand where they're at, what makes sense for the client. And this is obviously what a premium one-to-one coaching service looks like, right? You're really customizing and really getting stuck in and involved with the client. From a training standpoint, let's give people a little bit of context there. There'll be tons of trainers listening to this, and they'll obviously know how to develop a training plan. What's your approach right now when you're developing out a training plan or movement protocol for your clients? What does that typically look like right now?
Yeah, and exactly the same. We're changing the relationship with their body too. So it's not even all about what they're doing in the gym. Matter of fact, most of my guys, they don't even work out in the gym. We do a lot of recommendations of things at home, things that they can get done quickly and safely, right? Again, depending on the person. The example I gave you earlier of my client Joe, he had osteoarthritis and we couldn't be doing stuff in the gym. So we worked with resistance bands with him and some body weight movements so that he was able to actually get his exercises in without any injury. But usually a client, if they haven't been working out for maybe 6 months or a year, I'm not even going to start them in the gym. I'm going to ask them to start going for a walk. I'm going to ask them to start getting 15 minutes of something happening, maybe within the first hour of waking up. Some of these guys, they're not even touching anything that's, steel related for maybe a couple of months, and they're still making this progress because we're focusing on changing the relationship with the body and not just how quickly we can get underneath a barbell or a dumbbell.
When it comes to your check-in process, I want to give people some context here. There's a lot of different ways that you can check in with an online client. You can obviously just jump on a phone call with them. You could jump on a Zoom call where you can see each other. You could simply be doing a video check-in where you maybe record something and give it to the client. I want to go through your process, David, that you've implemented, because I think this is awesome and one that I know is one of the most effective ways. It's not the right way to do it for every niche or niche or every client, but it works really well for you. So why don't you explain what you do? Because you jump on a call with your clients, right? Is it weekly right now? You're jumping on a call with the clients? And if so, how long? And then let's give people some context as to what's happening on the call, just so they know what you're doing and how you've got like this really nice framework that you're following. Yeah, tell us what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's not for everybody. Like what works for me may not work for you, but I encourage you all to try it out. Right? I went over several different check-in variations that I had over the years, and some things didn't feel right and some things did. And it got to the point where I use my process right now, and I'm basically, when I get on a call, I'm able to create a living document with my client. I like to call it a user manual for them. And what that is, it just allows them to have something that they can look back on to start from start to finish of their journey. And in that manual, basically what we're going to do is we're going to edit it every single time that we check in. We check in every single week for about 30 minutes. And on those check-in calls, the general information I want to get from them is, number one, I want to celebrate a win with them. Every single time they show up to a call, there's going to be high energy. I'm going to look for any wins. And even if they feel like there are no wins, we're always able to draw something out. So I'm just simply going to ask them, what are you proud of? What's the thing that you did from our last check-in till now that you're absolutely proud of? And they're going to tell me, and I'm going to celebrate that with them. But next I need to figure out where they're at in their journey, right? So I'm going to figure out what their struggle is. What are they still struggling with? Maybe they're still struggling with something that we were working on last week and it's taking them a little bit longer, and that's okay. If that's what we're doing, then we're going to talk about next steps there. If they need a new struggle or something new comes up or a new stressor happens in their life, I need to be able to respond to them where they're at right there. Like maybe they were working on something fitness, but something happened around work or something happened around a relationship and now they're stressed out. We need to kind of not focus so much on the fitness aspect and focus more on the stress aspect and our recovery and how we deal with stress. So on that document, I'm able to collect that information and collect that data from them to figure out, okay, where do we go next? What's the next step that we actually need to take so you can continue making that progress? I don't only look at that document, I also look at some data that they give me on a week-to-week basis in my software. So things like progress check-ins for body measurements, body weight, progress photos. If I had asked them to track anything on nutrition, which I typically don't, but sometimes they'll do like a 3-day thing if they're asking me questions, or tracking their fitness as well, because they can track it directly in my software too. I like to pull all that data and combine it with the data that I get with them on the call, so I have the most appropriate next steps for them.
What I love about your process actually is you have it on a Word document, don't you? So you pull up that Word document that you called the user manual on Google Drive, and you've got like this ongoing chain of activities that you can just see at a glance. When you jump on a call, you can see what you talked about maybe the previous week, and then you can create a little timestamp and add in the next set of things and action items. And it's just nice, organized, structured way to be able to stay on top of the client and not forget what you've maybe suggested, spoke about, or maybe if you see ongoing patterns, you can spot it in the document because it keeps coming up over and over. So I just love that process that you've implemented. And again, it's not for everyone, but if you're selling a one-to-one higher ticket, premium price point, coaching program like we teach our clients, like David does, then obviously you want to be looking at a high level of customization like we're speaking about on this call, to deliver the best possible service, to get the best possible results, but also justify those higher price points when speaking with clients. Now, I want to give people maybe some context as to some of the things that have led to you getting such good results with your clients. So let's hit like them one by one and give people a couple of contexts. So you said changing their relationship with food is one of them. Can you like elaborate on that and why you feel like that actually gets people such good results?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to kind of rewind a little bit, back when I first started, I just prioritized meal plans. Right? I had PLR stuff, like you guys can find that all over the place. I gave a client a meal plan. Hey, follow this meal plan. No one followed it. Right? No one wanted to pick it up. No one wanted to follow it at all. It's just a headache. And the more and more I talked with my clients, the more clients I started serving, the more I realized the value of actually changing that relationship. People were coming to me and telling me, why they were eating, and they couldn't figure it out, right? They couldn't figure out why they're eating. Originally, I thought, okay, it's just emotional eaters are the only people that, they're the only type of form of eating that I need to fix. But I've learned over the years that there's opportunity eaters, there's convenience eaters, there's routine eaters. And I'm able to dive into that with a client and actually change those relationships so we can pinpoint why they eat, right? Sometimes I'll tell clients to do maybe just a little bit of a 24-hour log. And in that log, we were able to discover a lot of things there, because they'll say, okay, well, I eat late at night, but really it's something that happened early in the morning is the reason why I'm doing it. Right? So those usually happen with like emotional eaters, but routine eaters are a big thing as well. Routine eaters think they just have to have breakfast within 30 minutes of waking up just because their mom told them to, right? Let's look at opportunity eaters. Those are people that if someone brings donuts to the office, they just don't want to miss out, and they feel they're missing out on that opportunity of having that donut. So we dive into that and we say, okay.
That used to be me. Yeah. Guilty. So that used to be me when I was in corporate.
Absolutely. And the real opportunity there for them isn't necessarily the donut. It's usually the camaraderie in the office. People just hanging around the office, chatting and talking. And if you can change that relationship with someone and say, okay, it's not really the donut that you're there for, that you're seeking, it's the community. Maybe you can bring yourself some carrots or something, or not eat something, right? And still go over there and have that community. But there's many, many different ways that you can actually change all of those relationships. One thing I did learn is there's never a single assigned relationship, right? If you run into an opportunity eater, next week he can be a routine eater. The week after he could be a stress eater, right? Anything can come up, and you definitely, that's why it's important. I do the one-on-one calls either weekly. I know some people do bi-weekly, that works too, but that's why I have to do them every single week, because that relationship can change. We need to adjust as that goes.
Yeah, this is awesome stuff. And hopefully this is like giving people some perspective of the thought, the care, and the strategy that goes into really thinking about clients and their journey. And obviously, this is not the same level of support and coaching you could offer for just a couple of $100. I want everyone to understand that. So we're talking again about this very premium service. And so you obviously need to have the price point to be able to go to these lengths to get this level of support out to your clients. But you mentioned obviously that relationship with food was a big one for getting results, but then also I know for a fact that for you help people with the relationship of their body, and that obviously really helps them with getting results. Why don't you just elaborate on that for anyone listening?
Yeah, and it's actually an ongoing theme for the evolution of my own coaching practice, because again, at the beginning, it was just assigned fitness stuff, right? And someone's relationship with just themselves at the end of the day is what we need to fix. But the relationship with their body, again, isn't always about just your physical fitness or what you're doing with your workouts, right? Like I said at the beginning, I was giving people workout plans, and if they didn't follow the workout plan, then it's a them problem, right? And not a me problem. It's like, oh, they're just not following the plan, that's why they're not getting results. But once I stepped out of that zone of like, it has to be the workouts, if you don't do the workouts, you're not going to get results. My results for my clients skyrocket. I mean, that's why I'm able to actually offer like a 15-pound guarantee to my clients, because they're losing between 20 and 50 pounds in the first 12 weeks with me, because I'm changing the relationships. And the relationship around your body is things like, how often are you moving throughout the day? I got clients, the very first thing that they do is what I call 5 minutes of morning movement. And it's not squats, it's not push-ups, it's not jumping jacks. It's literally they sit up at the edge of their bed, they do neck rotations, arm circles, bear huggers, and then they stand up and do some marches, and they do some wrist stuff. And I got clients reporting that their energy has increased, right? The snap, crackles, and pops that they get in the morning isn't there anymore. They feel like they're ready to tackle the day. But most importantly, they're getting a positive win every single day, right? A positive win every single day. They're making a positive decision, right? Versus like a negative one. What's a negative decision? Slapping that snooze button, right? That's procrastination already. Instead, they're saying, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do something. And the very first choice I make is going to be around that relationship with my body and around my health and fitness.
Hopefully everyone listening to this is getting value so far. If you are, then let us know, give it a like, or let us know in the comments. And if you've got maybe questions that you want to fire into us that we can come back and answer either in the comments, or maybe we can do a follow-up to this call. If people are finding it valuable, then we can definitely do that. Let's move on into really the mindset that some trainers might have right now when it comes to maybe starting out online, transitioning online, and building an online business, right? I know it can be a lot of scary for people who are maybe not sure what to do, where to start, or maybe there's some imposter syndrome, or maybe some lack of belief. I know like you went through some similar stuff yourself, David, when you first started out as a personal trainer. Like, what would you say to a personal trainer right now thinking of starting their online business? Maybe they're just not sure, they're not confident in getting results. Like, what would your advice be to them?
Yeah, I mean, I personally felt the same way when I first started. I felt a little bit of that imposter syndrome. I felt a little bit about like, oh, this is going to be overwhelming. What am I going to do? I think the best advice I can give you is, one, keep it simple, just like you will with your clients. Right? Keep it simple for yourself too. Don't overthink it. Just start doing it. Focusing don't focus on getting it right the first time, because it's going to grow. Right? Just like I said in the beginning, when I first started, I was just giving fitness. I was looking for PLR type, meal plans that I could just give out to people, and it's grown from there. It wasn't perfect then. It's probably not perfect now. I'm going to learn things as I go, because I'm prioritizing, re-educating myself all the time to become better as I go. So just allow yourself to evolve. Just start doing something, and then worry about weaving in those little learning segments as you go. Make those mistakes.
I think what you said there is really key. That words evolve and evolution, right? There's going to be an evolution of what you do over time. Like me and you are still working on like tweaking and refining things like in your process to this day, aren't we? We're 3 years into your online coaching business, and we're still tweaking stuff in your delivery and your systems and your business. We're into business 5 years as well, and our coaching program, we're still editing, tweaking, refining, evolving, modifying, making it better, right? It's not a one and done process for anyone listening to this. So don't expect to have all the answers from day one. Don't expect to know exactly what you should be doing, because we're all still tweaking, modifying, improving, and evolving over time, because it never stops, especially if you want to deliver the highest quality level of service. You look at any great business, any great organization, any coach or person that you admire and you respect, they're constantly working on innovating, improving, up-leveling, upgrading, and making things better. That's what makes those businesses or people successful, right? And so right now, my best advice, just like David, is just don't look for perfection. Take imperfect action. Take some step forward towards building this business, and you'll figure it out along the way. And obviously, if you can get around people who have already done it, tune into the content that we're creating. If you want additional support, reach out, and we do offer that as well. But really just get around people who are already doing the thing that you want to do, and just learn from people. Like, get a shortcut, get a helping hand, right? Because anyone that's successful is working with or learning from someone else.